This is day 2 shorting MSTR. So quick little recap on the day. MSTR actively dropping, and in comparison to yesterday, right? If you guys follow me here on YouTube, I talked about day 1 of shorting it with $100,000, pretty much just talking about, hey, MSTR is a shitty company, it has no underlying business. All it does, it buys Bitcoin, and its price action is dependent on Bitcoin's price action. So anytime that Bitcoin pushes up, it doesn't normally hold or hasn't been holding for quite some time. So when it rips up and becomes very overbought, it tends to retrace. Today's a perfect example. Now don't get me wrong, none of my trades are ever perfect. Just like yesterday, at one point I was up over 2K shorting MSTR, but when Bitcoin began to push up, I ended up having to cut losses on that short as it made new highs, sharing my loss where I went from 2K in the green to 3.7K in the red on MSTR. I made $2,000 on SOUN short yesterday, but this thing ripped up, right? It became more overbought, and as in today's live trading session, so if you're part of my LPP team, you can actually see every position that I took on MSTR today that led to my 17.8K day, or at that time it was like 14K is what I was up. I'm shorting it again, so I'm up now even more. But nonetheless, again, there's no secret strategy, nothing like that. It's all based off of market direction. That's the biggest difference from today and yesterday's trade. Both were shorts, both were with MSTR, just a few hours apart, and the biggest difference is price action and direction. Yesterday, market sentiment was bullish, Bitcoin was pushing up, MSTR was pushing up. Now, quite the opposite. Bitcoin is dropping, it's retracing, and I believe that if you look at the 1 hour time frame, it has a history of pumping up to highs of 100, 102, and then it retraces back down to its common support of right around 91 to 92,000. That's where it tends to find its support. So that's what I feel like it's possibly leading to. Now, is it going to do that all within a day? No, probably not, which is why I don't think holding the short on MSTR would make much sense. I don't carry my shorts overnight. I like to close them out day by day and manage and mitigate my risk. My job is not to try to make the most amount of money. My job is to make a calculated amount where I can control how much exposure to risk I have. And I can't control my risk exposure when I carry the position overnight. And I have to respect that MSTR is an incredibly risky stock because it could quickly gap up and go against my short, which is the main reason that I don't carry it overnight. Nonetheless, as Bitcoin's price action began to be bearish, I began shorting it, and so far 17.3K, right around 17K as it begins to consolidate here. I just opened a short. I announced it to my LPP team, letting them know that I opened up short right around 354, and the more that it sells off, the more money that I'll add. Today's short was with a little bit more. Yesterday's short was with around 100K. Today was with what was around 180K as direction became favorable. And I played it super simple. Feel free to rewatch today's live trading session. Even if you sign up today for LPP, which is the second link down below, you can rewatch today's live session. Every good trade, every bad trade I take, you can always go back and rewatch it. The thing that I loved about it was that we saw a common resistance range. Every time that it got rejected by the moving average, it sold off, I took profits. It came back to retest, I opened up short again, waited for confirmation as direction became favorable, I added more to my short, and then I took profits at oversold range. It consolidated, made new lows, added more to my short, making more money as this thing sold off. There was nothing special about today. I was playing with market direction and playing with the highs and playing with the lows. There's the beautiful part about trading is when you can keep it simple, as long as direction is in your favor, it makes the whole process so much easier. Yesterday, it wasn't that, again, it was a terrible trade. The biggest difference between yesterday and today, and I want to express this to you, is market direction. Market direction was bullish yesterday. It was showing signs of progress, higher highs and higher lows, and I needed to respect that, which is why, again, it led to the red day because I had to close and cut my losses on that given day. But today, it's quite the opposite. There it goes. We just hit 18K on the day. As this thing sells off, again, the more that I can add to the short. So I'll go here and then just quickly add another 100 shares shorting MSTR, which in this case is another $34,000. So the more that MSTR sells off, the more money that I'll make, and I plan to take profits right around 345, which is a common support range. My entries and my exits are never perfect. My job is to enter it and exit when it makes sense, not when I think it's exactly going to bounce, right? Get in, get out, make your money, and bounce. The other trade that I took today was SOUN. Bought into the lows, sold into the highs. I wasn't able to actively short this because in today's live session, I was actively shorting MSTR and I had a lot of different things going going on. So now that it's become quite oversold, it's finding its support, and we'll see if we can catch some of the rip ups. If you're an absolute beginner, stay away from SOUN, stay away from MSTR. They're incredibly risky stocks. I don't care about long or short. Again, you need to learn how to walk before you run, and that's one thing that I'll always try to preach to every beginner that watches my videos, is that you need to understand what stocks are worth trading and what stocks are not worth the risk, because your experience level just might not be there just yet. It doesn't mean that you won't get there. It just means that, again, it's going to take time to do so. So with that being said, again, 17.6K so far. And then on SOUN, 3.5. The thing that I want to share with you guys very quickly is this article that I found on MSTR. It says Bitcoin's decline is exposing the cracks on MicroStrategy's strategy. So while the strategy garnered widespread attention during Bitcoin's rise, it also exposed MicroStrategies to a high degree of risk. Critics argue that the company's dependence on Bitcoin, coupled with its debt-heavy balance sheet, has made a precarious bet for shareholders. That's the biggest thing. Not a precarious bet for the company, it's for its shareholders. Financial analysts have been vocal about the potential dangers, warning that if Bitcoin price were to plummet significantly, MicroStrategy could face a downward of spiral shareholder dilutions and asset liquidation. Because for those that do not know, the way that MicroStrategy runs its entire business is that its co-founder, Michael Saylor, all he does is he's able to borrow against his investors at 0% interest, which puts his investors at super high risk of being diluted and asset liquidation, something that not enough people are talking about. And I love this. There is so much misinformation out there about MSTR. It isn't a synthetic call on Bitcoin, nor is it a leveraged way to be buying Bitcoin. It is a poorly structured, tax inefficient fund that trades at 140% of its premium to NAV. And again, it's as clear as day. This will only work for MicroStrategy while Bitcoin is bullish. As soon as MicroStrategy or Bitcoin begins to fall below 90,000 and people begin to get margin called and leverage and leads to that selling pressure on BTC, it will also follow with MicroStrategy. And again, we've seen it in the past before with FTX, we've seen it in the past before with BitConnect, and it will happen again because Bitcoin, it's not an if it will sell off, it's just the when. Every single time it sells off anywhere from 75 to 50%, and then again, it's just putting yourself in a favorable position to win. And once we are this overbought and there's that much downside risk, I just personally don't think it's worth it. But again, only time will tell. No one can predict the future. I'm super excited to follow up. I just wanted to keep you guys up to date on both my green days and my red days, just like I did yesterday and just like I did today. So day 2, shorting MSTR, 17.5, and then we have 3.4 so far on SOUN. So again, if you want to watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow, second link in the description down below. Would love to answer any questions you might have. And then again, if you're ready to sign up, second link down below, one-time payment, lifetime access. We'll see you tomorrow at Market Open for our live session. Take care, team.